All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining.
The music is still on, Julia.
Still on. It started to fade to the background for me. But hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's DEIC meeting. Today is pretty special because not only is it the DEIC meeting, but we're also hosting our first annual J.E.D.I Awards. This is the 2022 Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Awards. And so we want to thank you all for joining us. My name is Julia Scott. I am the DEI coordinator with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. But today I will be serving as the mistress of ceremony for the awards. So before we begin, we have a nice little schedule for us today. Before we begin handing out awards to our winners, we wanted to set the occasion with some words from people from the School of Social Work as well as UNB. So we will have words from Nejma, who is the Dean of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the School of Social Work Dean Judy Postmas, as well as Dr. Diane Forbes-Berthoud, who is the VP and Chief Diversity Equity Officer with the Office of EDI. So first up, we're gonna have Nejma speak and do some welcoming for our awards.
Welcome, everyone. I'm actually going to pass it off to our co-chairs, Dr. Fold and Stephanie Foster, to give us a brief introduction into the DEIC before we get into the ceremony itself.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, and thanks so much, Julia, for kicking us off. If you, can I share my screen for a minute? We're just going to put up a quick visual. Welcome to everyone. I'm Samantha Fold. I am clinical faculty at the School of Social Work and one of the co-chairs of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, where we are meeting today and also hosting the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion's J.E.D.I Awards. And we're so excited to have this space today. My co-chair and partner is Stephanie Foster. Steph, do you want to introduce yourself for a minute?
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Foster. I'm the Business Operations Specialist over at the Institute.
So welcome again, everyone. Steph and I were just connecting before the meeting and the awards presentation today. And we just wanted to take a moment to name our context and kind of name that there's so much happening in the world right now. You know, there's the atrocities in Ukraine, there's the legislation, the anti-trans legislation in Texas. And we wanted to name that we stand in solidarity with all of the people around the world who are living in terror and fighting oppression and lack of humanity on so many fronts. Dr. King, Emma Lazarus, and Maya Angelou have all reminded us that there's no such thing as freedom while others are being oppressed. And so today, Steph and I are just really grateful to be part of a community committed to anti-racism, anti-oppression, equity, and injustice. And we're really excited to take this time today to celebrate the work of so many people towards that goal. So before we get started, just very briefly, since so many of you are joining who are new to the DEIC, we wanted to just take a moment to share more about what we do. So Steph is going to share just briefly about our mission.
So for anyone who's not been here, welcome. The DEIC mission is, we are a convening body comprised of diverse SFW.
Literally have. Oh, okay. Yes, sir. How can I help you?
Stakeholders, which includes staff, faculty, student, administration, alumni, and community representatives. So our mission is to collaborate and strategize to make recommendations and act towards an SSW community that is inclusive, anti-racist, anti-oppressive, and anywhere where everyone has a sense of belonging. And we are housed under the Office of Diversity and Equity and Inclusion.
Recording in progress.
Thanks so much, Steph. And now we are just so thrilled to hand it over to Najma and Julia with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to get started on our J.E.D.I Awards.
Thank you so much, Samantha and Stephanie, and welcome everyone. So my name is Najma Celestin Donner, and I serve as the Assistant Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the University of Maryland School of Social Work. I am so happy and thrilled to be giving these awards out today to very, very deserving folks who are a part of our SSW community. I would like to really quickly ask you all to please mute your mics and mute yourselves as we're talking. I'm getting some background noises and I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So I've been given some marching orders today, which is just to talk a little bit about the awards themselves and give you an idea of how we came to even get this going. So first of all, I want to make sure that I thank the committee. We had a J.E.D.I Awards committee that consisted of myself, Julia Scott, Courtney Brown, who's a student, Dr. Beth Singer, Gail Betts, and Nia Speaks. And we spent a lot of time thinking through what should be the names of the awards and why. And so I'm going to really quickly talk to you about the awards that will be presented today. Next slide, please. So the first award is the Faculty Award, and that is named after Dr. Kamara Jones, who is an American physician, epidemiologist, and anti-racism activist. She specializes in the effects of racism and social inequalities. And she's really known for her work in defining institutional racism. And she has served on faculty at Johns Hopkins, at Emory, as well as Morehouse. So she's definitely a distinguished faculty member who is known throughout the country. Then we have a staff award that is named after Judith Heumann. She's an American disability rights activist, and she's recognized internationally as a leader in the disability community. She's a lifelong advocate, as I mentioned, and has served as an instrumental staff person for both President Obama and Clinton. Our student award is named after Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde might be a familiar name to most of you all. She was an American writer, feminist, womanist, civil rights activist. And her creative talent she used to address injustices related to racism, sexism, classism, and homophobia, particularly during her days as a student in New York City. Then our Alumni Award is named after Whitney Young, who was an American civil rights leader, trained as a social worker, and spent most of his career working to end employment discrimination. Then we have our group award that is named after Kimberly Crenshaw, who might be another familiar name. She's an American civil rights advocate and a leading scholar of critical race theory. Her work focuses a lot on intersectionality and looking at the ways in which intersecting identities overlap related to systems and structures of oppression and discrimination. And finally, we have our Community Award, which is named after Shirley Chisholm. She was an American politician, educator, and author, and became the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress, where she represented New York's 12th congressional district. She was a huge community activist and worked in early childhood education. She received a lot of resistance, but she powered through as she was determined. She also led the expansion of food and nutrition programs in her community. So those are the names of the awards. Those are the people. As you can see, our awardees have really big shoes to fill. And as I mentioned before, we took a lot of time to think through the name of these awards because we wanted it to be really meaningful. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to our MC today, Julia Scott, who is going to introduce our next speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nejma, for sharing that information, particularly about the awards we are about to give out. Next up, we have the School of Social Work Dean, Judy Postmas, who's going to share some opening remarks before we get started. Dean, you have the floor.
Thank you, Julia, and thank you, Nejma, for setting up today. I'm excited to have an opportunity to be here and excited to see these awards come to life and be able to be given out. I know when I started in July of 2020 with the charge of addressing DEI work and the challenges and to look at the school and to pay attention to some of the concerns that had been raised in the previous years, that giving awards is so important because it doesn't just focus on the negative, it focuses on the positive work that people are doing. And I'm excited about the work that's been happening, the groups, the affinity groups, the whole survey that's done every year, all of this information, the training that's happening, the coaching, the assistance, all of it makes to be a place where, in a climate where we really want to be together and work together on achieving justice for all, regardless of whether it's racial justice, economic, environmental, social justice, that we really want to, as a school, stand up and say we are an anti-oppressive organization, anti-racist, anti-oppressive organization that wants to take these stances, and we'll incorporate it into all that we do. So I'm excited to be here, excited about the work that's being done, excited that folks are getting the awards. And someday we'll do this in person, maybe next year. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dean. You are exactly right. I'm hoping we can do it next year in person. I think that would be very lovely. So our last opening remarks are going to be done by Dr. Diane Forbes-Berthoud, who is the Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer for UMB.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you all. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the invitation. First, congratulations to all the winners and kudos to the School of Social Work. Even before I arrived last year, I heard about the great work and leadership of the school. And to all the winners, what I read in all the names of the awards, and then Nejma took more time to explain more about each of the individuals, that each of you has demonstrated a consistent commitment to equity, diversity, inclusion, justice, access, belonging. And I think that's really important. And so thank you all for your leadership. Thank you to Dean Postmas and the committee. I look forward to learning more, and we are partners in this work together. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you all for speaking. So thank you, Nejma, Judy, and Diane. So now we are going to begin our actual award presentation. So we have 6 awards that we're giving out today. Nejma has gone over those awards. You can still see the list on the screen. But first up, we want to have one of our introductionary folks come in. So we have Kyle T. Collins, who's going to be presenting the Kamara Jones Faculty Award. So you have the floor.
Thank you so much. As Julia said, my name is Kyle T. Collins. I'm a 2018 MSW graduate from the School of Social Work and a current PhD of social work candidate at the National Catholic School of Social Service. I am so honored to be here today to introduce Lee Westgate as our first recipient of the Kamara Jones Faculty Award. When I thought about what I wanted to say about Lee, there was a lot, and so I thought I would sum it up in a few kind of core values that I think of when I think of Lee. The first is passion. I think anyone who knows Lee and has been witness to this passion as he brings it to every aspect of his work. And I largely imagine that it's this passion that keeps Lee going, because I suspect that Lee doesn't sleep very much, seeing all the great work that he does. The next term that came to mind was innovation. I, have had the honor and privilege of being a student of Lee's, as well as continuing to do education outside of school with Lee. And the innovation is astounding, be it from continuing education curriculum design to Lee's work on courses within the School of Social Work, including the LGBTQ clinical care course. as well as the attention that Lee pays to challenging bias in education and practice. And I think, this is something that I've always really admired, is the kind of sense of social justice that is infused into Lee's work and Lee's curriculum. The next term that came to mind was advocate. I don't think I need to spend too much time on this one when it comes to Lee. I mean, Lee is tireless in lobbying on a formal level, as well as, within the rest of his work, centering issues that need to be advocated for, even within the School of Social Work. And, I think this was most prevalent to me about a year ago when the Texas Board of Social Work had passed these seemingly egregious rules that would allow for discrimination in social work. And Lee was right at the front lines in that, in advocating and pushing the School of Social Work to make a statement and, bring this along. And I'm happy to say, I wrote a letter to Dean Postmus about this because of Lee, and actually wrote a letter to Dean Reagan at National Catholic School of Social Service as well to really push these. And it was Lee who really inspired me to do that. The next term was mentor. Lee has been tireless and so generous in his time with mentoring students to bring the best out of them and support them in their careers. And I should know, I've known Lee for the last 5 years, and he's been in my corner as a cheerleader the entire time. And I can't even begin to express how important and significant that has been to me. And, the next term was visibility. Lee, it should not go unnoticed that Lee is everywhere. That's my note about not sleeping. I mean, Lee eats, lives, and breathes this. He's consistently available, and he's consistently visible in providing training, consultation, continuing education, and engaging various stakeholders in our community. And almost done there, I swear, authenticity. I think this is super important, and it's an understated reason, but certainly an important one, is that Lee embodies courage and grace constantly in his work every day as being an out and open, visible transgender man. And it's personally, but also I suspect a lot of people feel the same, that it's an inspiration, especially as an LGBTQ plus person. But it's also a source of hope for the future of our profession and for all of that. And, the last thing I'd be remiss if I didn't say about Lee that comes to mind is Lee has been a really great friend to me over the last 5 years. And so with that said, it is my distinct pleasure to be able to present Lee with the Kamara Jones Faculty Award.
So I want to thank Kyle for coming to speak, but I also want to make sure that we are giving a congratulations to Lee for music is playing with the Oscars. So everyone can give a round of applause for Lee for all the wonderful work that he does and continues to do for our school as well as our community. So Lee, you are welcome to come in and accept your award. This is the award that Lee will be getting. It's going to be hard to see.
Well, I don't know how to follow that introduction. I had a wonderful game face planned, and you really, really touched my heart, Kyle. So I'm going to have to restructure the composure that I plan to come into this moment with. Let me just start by saying thank you for everything that you said, but also to recognize that it's students such as yourself and other students that I see present here today that inspire me, and so thank you for that. It's an honor and a privilege to receive this award. This is an award that celebrates a brilliant and prolific scholar, and I really want to acknowledge the scholarship that really anchors this recognition. Kamara Phyllis Jones's work is not simply an allegorical diagnosis of the systemic nature of racism and oppression. Actually, her framework is one that compels us to frame these seemingly otherwise intractable, insidious problems, and it's a framework that empowers us to act. And I think that that is something that is so essential for each of us, is that we use our knowledge and we use our powers and we use the situations that present ourselves to act. But before we act, I think we have to awaken. Jones says in her prolific research and writing that it's difficult for us to recognize any system of inequity that's privileging us. And Jones goes on to say that recognition of one's own position in the world is predicated on our ability to develop an awareness of what she refers to as the doors that are open for some and the doors that are decidedly closed for others. For those of us, and I know that I'm not alone in this room, that are stubbornly addicted to instigating seismic change, we will remain very busy, not just recognizing the existence of doors, but removing them altogether. For every door that I personally attempt to pull from its hinges, I do that with the supreme understanding that my strength is not unique to me. It's born of those that came before me. It's born of those that stand around me, and it's born of those that will follow me. And we're each in a unique position to create a path forward for others to follow. Today, I dedicate this award to a lot of people, but especially to the people that keep me brave, and I appreciate the words that were opened up in today's session. I want to specifically dedicate this award to my expansive human family, and specifically to every trans kid that needs to see a trans adult as an assurance and confirmation that there's a future, as an assurance and confirmation that they should exist, that we should exist. And you have my promise to all the kids that I have not met yet, that I will continue to fight for you because you are beautiful and perfect as you are. And may we never let anyone discredit or undermine your humanity. You have my enduring commitment. So Kyle, you said a lot, and all I can say at this point is thank you. And I really encourage that beyond today, that we not just be humbled by these recognitions, but that we remain bold in committing to act for the better. So thank you so much for this recognition today. I feel so honored and so privileged. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Those were amazing words, and we thank you once again for all of the amazing work that you are doing for all of us, and for those who aren't there yet. Like, you are certainly an inspiration. So I see all the stuff in the chat as well, so continue to congratulate our winners today. So next up, we are going to have the presentation for our Judith Heumann Staff Award, where we were going to have Jenny, who's going to introduce our winner. So Jenny, you have the floor.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Lee, that was really beautiful. Hi, my name is Jenny Afkinich. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a lead research analyst at the Institute for Innovation and Implementation, where I have the honor of working with Angelique Kane and the opportunity to introduce her today as she receives the Judith Heumann Staff Award. Her nomination was proudly submitted on behalf of our whole team, the Parent, Infant, and Early Childhood group at the Institute. Angelique is a brave proponent for racial and social justice, and she's advocated for systemic change in the Baltimore community by dedicating significant time to multiple community organizations, including the National Black Child Development Institute, the Downtown Baltimore Family Alliance, the Edgar Gardens Lakeside Civic Association, the Baltimore Education Coalition, and several others. In each of these roles, Angelique makes sure that the voices of families that are impacted by policies and initiatives are considered. Her efforts have also been recognized when she was named the 2018 Baltimore Parent Teacher Organization Leader of the Year. Angelique brings her strength and perseverance as an advocate to her work with us at the Institute and the School of Social Work as well. She challenges us as her colleagues to think critically about how our internal work and our work with our partners affects our community. She reminds us to consider the impact of the decisions we make and the assessment tools we use. Moreover, Angelique also brings that thoughtful perspective to her work with policymakers and statewide and national leaders, ensuring that the needs of families are recognized. Specifically related to J.E.D.I initiatives, Angelique has been a member of the School of Social Work Strategic Plan Committee and has volunteered her time to facilitate affinity groups for Black faculty and staff at the school. Our team couldn't be happier that Angelique's accomplishments are being recognized today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny, for that lovely introduction. So we're going to do the same thing for Ms. Angelique. Congratulations on your award. We can all clap and snap for her. Angelique, you now have the floor to accept your award.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny. So first, I want to say that I am so overwhelmed with gratitude to have been selected to receive this award, acknowledging the impact of community and fully understanding that this accomplishment is not something that I could have achieved alone. I just want to take a few moments to share a few thank yous. So first, I am a woman of faith, so I want to give credit to everything that I've done and will do to God. Next, there are parts of me as a woman that have been developed through the demonstration of love and support from my family, and I see many of them here today, so I want to take a moment to thank specifically my husband Joey and my children, and my parents. I see cousins and friends and so forth. Also, I want to take the time to acknowledge my family and friends and other members of my tribe that have joined us today. Each one of you bring me joy, and I would never be able to thank you enough. So thank you. I also want to send a thanks to the Peak team, specifically for this nomination. During our meetings and presentations, I've built quite a reputation for myself for being the person to ask questions about demographics, identifying opportunities and gaps that traditionally impact targeted groups of oppression, and collaborating to work towards solutions within our work. Each one of you in your own way holds space for me to do that, and I am very appreciative, so thank you. I want to thank Nejma, who we heard from earlier today, for inspiring me to use my voice. I want to also, I don't see her here, but I really want to give a huge thank you to Zalika. The very first time that I saw Zalika was at an all-staff meeting, and she included in her introduction to everyone that her hair changed like the days in style and color, and that we would always be able to recognize her by her bold statement jewelry. And it was in that moment that I knew I was in the right place. If you've ever seen me in meetings and all of those things, you know that's something that I take pride in. So I want to thank her for paving the way for me to be myself in this space. Yesterday, I spoke with a friend, and he asked me what I was receiving an award for. And I paused to think, and I responded, simply put, I am receiving an award for being myself at work. And I truly mean that. I have worked in environments where I could not be my authentic self. And now I am in a work environment where my experiences, my Blackness, and my candor is celebrated, appreciated, and respected as an asset. At first glance to some, my professional and volunteer background, experience, and advocacy could appear to be kind of like all over the place. But there's a saying that goes, Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. This saying is particularly inspirational to me because there are many times when I have bought into imposter syndrome. But I push those thoughts outside of my mind, and I always remind myself that although I am someone who is still working towards their bachelor's degree, I am also a professional with a wealth of knowledge, skills, and abilities that is unique to me. That uniqueness is what I bring to every meeting, every table, every presentation, and every conference that fuels the work that I've done that I'm being acknowledged for today. So none of my life has been wasted. I want to take a moment to remind everyone that your quiet time is valuable, so use it to develop your character. Notice and appreciate every celebration and hardship, and embrace it as a pathway to your destiny and purpose. Follow your passion. Be the you that you love, and you will always do your best work. I will continue to embody the spirit of Sankofa, which means to reach back into the past to use the lessons learned to affect positive change in the future. I hope that this recognition of my work can serve as an inspiration to others. And just remember, if my work can make a difference, so can yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Amazing, great speeches so far. I'm enjoying myself. Hope you all are as well. We're going to keep moving. So we have the lovely Greg Brightville and Bermanari who are going to do our next award for the Audrey Lorde Student Award. So you all have the floor.
Well, it is truly an honor to be here and to talk to you all today and to recognize the achievement that every student does at UMB, and in particular, a little bit extra for this particular student who has been an amazing advocate for all of us. Now, I really want to recognize that this student has connected with so many other student leaders on campus, and you see almost this ripple effect from the work that they've done inspiring others. And so, I want to actually to go beyond that. And I thought it would best that I give the floor to a fellow student, to Bern Minari. And Bern is another student that advocates and leads initiatives at UMB on LGBTQIA+ spaces. And so, Bern, I want you to introduce your friend and recognize them for their work. Bern, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you everyone for being here. It is our absolute honor and delight to introduce Edgar Fields. Edgar is a dear friend of mine and also the recipient today of the Audre Lorde Award. Edgar has shown a clear dedication to both the UMB community and the LGBTQIA and Two-Spirit communities, and we are so glad that his hard work is being recognized today. Edgar is more than an advocate and has built their academic and pre-professional career on challenging social inequities, constructs of gender, and activism in support of Black, Indigenous, queer, and trans lives. Edgar came to UMB after completing their undergraduate degree at Towson University, where they majored in women's and gender studies. His commitment to our Baltimore community is reflected in his work with Baltimore Crisis Response, where he provided free HIV testing and safer sex information to underprivileged communities. Their commitment to social change can also be seen in their work with the Maryland Department of Health's Transgender Response Team, where they have advocated for trans persons and assisted in HIV prevention planning efforts. UMB should be as grateful as I am to have Edgar within its halls. Today at UMB, Edgar functions as the co-chair for the Queer Community Alliance, which is the School of Social Work's LGBTQIA affinity group. And both Greg and I have been delighted to professionally collaborate with them, both as president of, I have been delighted to collaborate as president of the university-wide Queer Student Alliance, and also as a dear friend of Edgar's. While QCA and QSA may have brought us together, our friendship within and outside of these roles will, I hope, remain for many, many years to come. Ladies and gentlethems, we give you Edgar Fields, one of UMB's top change makers, movers and shakers, and an advocate for social change and justice.
Thank you so much, Greg and Bern, for that lovely introduction. Edgar, you have the floor to give a lovely speech. I'm really excited for you. Edgar and I are in class together, so I'm really, really happy about this one. Edgar, you have the floor.
Yes, oh my goodness. I'm blown away. Thank you, Greg and Bern, for the introduction. I really can't think of anyone else who I'd like to have introducing me. Bern, all the love in the world, thank you so much. Thank you all for this award, truly blows my mind. The fact that my colleagues find my work to be exemplary in the pursuit of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, our profession's most venerable goals, is deeply honoring. I thank each of you, my fellow students, and especially the QCAE board, and all of my mentors in our field for doing such important and inspirational work that I had to chase after it too. I thank the trans community for giving me the gift of loving strength and then demanding that I pay it forward to them. I thank visionaries like Audre Lorde for insisting that we always try to keep our work revolutionary in nature and on how deliberate we have to be about that when we're working in an imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist, cis heteropatriarchy. it would be a waste of my time if I didn't use this as a soapbox. So I want to challenge all of you now to get more deliberate about how you're going to use your work for the trans community. Do you know which shelters in a city are safe to refer trans people to and which are not? If a man came to you and asked you to write a letter for a hysterectomy, would you know where to start? The situation in Texas and beyond shows that it's going to take us a lot of work to do right by the trans community in our field. We can't rely on pushing off services to trans clients on a niche of specialists. All of us being able to provide accurate information and affirming interventions changes lives. Audre Lorde once said, "I write because I'm a warrior, and my poetry is my primary weapon. I've written as much as I have because I have a responsibility to do this work in the world." I think as social workers, we can all relate to that a lot. We're all here because we've chosen social work as our weapon to fight for justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Hold that weapon carefully, and then be deliberate and afraid of nothing. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you. Another amazing speech. Edgar, congratulations for all the amazing work. And I want to thank you for your challenge to all of us to do more and to learn more and to be better for our community and for those that we are helping. So next up, we have Orrin Howard, who is going to present the Whitney Young Alumni Award. Orrin, you have the floor.
Well, it's just an honor to be part of this experience, to celebrate such wonderful people. And I've had the opportunity to run across some of these amazing people. This young man that I want to talk about today, we struggle. I'm adjunct. I've been here for 14 years, and it's significant because we struggle when we talk to classes and we talk out in the community about what year he came through. And, I guess that's a sign of aging when we can't figure out that time period. But 2 minutes was the restriction, but I can't do it justice. It was a quote by El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, otherwise known as Malcolm X, that said, "Sitting at the table doesn't make you a diner unless you eat some of what's on that plate." When you think about Mujahid Muhammad, the best way I can describe him to you is commitment to uncomfortable change. Commitment to uncomfortable change. I have watched him since he was a student, and now the student becomes the teacher, actually with his partners create a multi-million-dollar company that actually focuses their energy on the commitment to disenfranchised people, in particular people of color throughout Baltimore City. I've watched him as he eliminated toy guns out of gas stations under one mayor. I watched him as he hosts Sunday dinners all throughout the pandemic, where he asked all his professionals, his psychiatrists, his social workers, and things like that to come out and just be part of a community. I've watched him as he's led his mosque and done some of the more powerful community connection that is so needed in Baltimore City. And the best is yet to come. If I had all day to explain all the things that he's done so far in this community, I think we would run out of time. So what I want to say to everybody is that this is an honor, not just for me. I feel like it's an honor for the city, because this alumni that came here from a humble beginning, he's a Jersey boy, so I try not to hold that against him. But this honor that he has bestowed on this city and this commitment, it's not just the city. This guy has expanded to Vegas, Los Angeles. I mean, he's been all across the country, and that commitment is undying. So I'm just happy to be able to be a part of this experience with them. And without further delay, I would like to introduce Mujahid Muhammad.
All right, Mujahid Muhammad, let's play a little bit of music for you. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Orrin, for your lovely introduction. And you have the floor, Muhammad. Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Professor, big homie, and a mentor that Orrin has been to me over the years. I especially want to thank the university for this award, this Whitney Young Award, because under social work, what he did for us was open the door for not the individual work is great, The macro work is great, but if you can't open the door to every bit of social work when you need it, are you truly a social worker? And this is what Whitney gave us. And to have this award means so much because the work that I strive to do every day is not one that can put me in a box. Yesterday, I was someone's therapist. I was someone's therapist because there were two children, and we won't name where, but there were two children that were murdered, 16 years old. And even though I don't do therapy anymore, it was needed for me to play that role for that person, those families, those individuals, that teacher. Because when something happens, the idea of equity goes away because we solely focus on those who went through whatever pain they go through, the family. But that family has family members. That family has community. That community has teachers. And how often do we forget that that teacher has students in her class? So when harm happens, we have to be equitable in our purpose and our service to everyone. So the quote that I would like to leave us with is, don't make your presence like your absence. Because the work that we do, if there is no effect and you aren't having an impact, then you might as well be absent. My goal every day is to reconstruct the belief of goals and times and those that I serve. And I don't serve just individuals. I serve individuals. I serve systems. I serve politicians. I serve community organizations. But as of new, I serve buildings because I aggressively work for equitable access, for economic opportunities for everyone, but to change, to create change from a systematic approach, we have to create change in systems, but we actually have to create buildings that are focused on healing, because you and I will be gone at some point tomorrow. But when we create systems, those systems may stand. But when we create buildings, those buildings will stay. So let's work to create buildings that focus on healing. Because when we are long gone, the social work department here at University of Maryland will stand, and it will continue to fight for equity. Don't let your presence be like your absence. But for me, every day, I fight that my absence is stronger than my presence. Thank you for this award, and I appreciate you more than you know, big homie.
All right, well, we have heard some really amazing speeches of people who are doing amazing, amazing work. And I hope that everyone is as inspired as I am. Once again, congratulations. So we're gonna go to our next award. We have Dawn Schaefer, who is here to present the Kimberly Crenshaw Group Award. So Dawn, you have the floor.
Thank you. Wow, there's a lot to follow. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dawn Schaefer. My pronouns are she, they. It is my pleasure to present the inaugural Kimberly Crenshaw Award in recognition of a group that has excelled in integrating equity, inclusion, diversity, and anti-racist practice. And this award very deservingly goes to the Dream Disability Justice Student Group in honor of their groundbreaking efforts that they've made at the School of Social Work. More specifically, the Crenshaw Award recognizes Dana Cobrin, Libby Nuss, and Mary McElvey, all of whom are passionate and persistent leaders in our community. Dana, Libby, and Mary have worked tirelessly to bring disability justice to the forefront at School of Social Work by raising awareness, challenging structural barriers, and promoting inclusion and cultural change. They proposed a set of curriculum updates to the Master's Program Committee to create a disability justice specialization, and also promoted the infusion of disability justice and accessibility into the current curriculum. Additionally, they're in the process of creating an Ableism 101 workshop as part of a comprehensive independent study that they're doing with Dr. Samantha Fold. Dana, Libby, and Mary utilize their keen awareness of intersectionality within the disability community to work within and across groups, forging partnerships and deepening collaborations. Together, the leaders of DREAM embody the core social work values of social justice, dignity and worth of the person, and the importance of human relationships. Plus, they're super kind people and they're a lot of fun to be around. And so I hope that you will join me in congratulating Dana, Libby, and Mary.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for your lovely work and that lovely introduction. Yes, congratulations to DREAM. So Dana, Libby, and Mary, if you all would like to speak and accept your award, you all have the floor.
We discussed this previously, and because of the 2-minute time constraint and being 3 people, we decided that I would represent the 3 of us to speak. First of all, we just wanted to thank everybody, specifically Dr. Mel Bellin, Dr. Fold, and Gail Betts, because they have been with us since 2020. I don't think the people on the call realize that DREAM started in 2020 in maybe like, oh man, like October. I was sitting in a hammock and I met with Dean Taylor and I was like, school is not accessible for me. Like, I don't know what I can do about this, but I am not learning effectively as a student because there are no captions. So when people talk really fast or have an accent, I can't understand them. And we did not figure out voice threads yet. So lectures were just very inaccessible and confusing. So this is born out of an advocacy need that was necessary at a very tumultuous time. And I literally went on Facebook and virtual flyers and was like, does anybody else care about this? If you're too busy in COVID, I understand. But if you're not too busy in COVID and want to do something, I met Mary, and then Libby was in my research class together where we survived, and the 3 of us together just became a team. We literally just started with smaller events with the goal of destigmatizing disabilities and accessibility in the school and bringing people together to have a platform to speak. That was the original goal. It morphed into so much bigger than that because as we saw advocacy challenges, we really thought that at first we were powerless to do pretty much anything. So we figured all we would do is just tell people about them. But when you do that, that's great, but doesn't go anywhere. You can talk till kingdom come, but if you don't have actionable steps and processes and advocacy, then it just gets lost in the storm. So what I'm really proud that me, Mary, and Libby have done, and oh my God, it's morphed. We created an independent study. We wrote a whole syllabus. We proposed a whole curriculum. Now we're working on a like sometimes I'm in awe and literally forget what we've done until I look at my resume and go, I should probably add that. I forgot we did that. That's really cool. Awesome. And people don't realize that it's all 3 of us together. We're a group because we all have individual strengths. Mary's research background, and Mary couldn't be here today, but this is recorded, so we'll show this to them, is the one who does all the critical analysis and stats. Libby is the one who has a teacher background, who's amazing at presenting and interactivity and connecting with others. And I have the student affairs, learning disability, higher education background that can translate all of what they're both saying into different platforms. So we're really honored because we've been working so hard, and it's really nice to see that like all the work we did for free for a year, and then all the work we do, all the independent study credit. It's really nice. And for all 3 of us, it shaped all of our careers. So the only other people I want to thank in addition are Dean Taylor, Dean Schaefer, Amanda Lenning, but pretty much everybody that either helped with one of the projects that we were going on, or if we interviewed you or asked you for help. I'm not going to name all the names because there's too many people I'm going to forget, but I just wanted to say thank you. We're incredibly grateful. It shaped our career path. It shaped our everyday life, and the impacts we have made are seen on different levels. And the only thing I want to leave with in terms of our group is no matter what happens after this, disability looks different to everybody. We need to stop assuming that disability is automatically the parking sign that you see when somebody drives into a car. That is one form, but that is not the only one. And a lot of it is destigmatizing, and people are afraid to share because of repercussions, power dynamics, benefits, etc. So we just want people to be open-minded, to be aware that whether or not somebody chooses to disclose is their choice, and recognize that if somebody needs help or needs to fix something, they're not mad or angry or resentful at you. They just legitimately need help. And if you don't understand, open your heart, listen, and see if you can't do anything about it, who else can do anything about it? So we just wanted to say thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And also just briefly, something that really stuck out to me was the idea of the fact that disability as a marginalized group is a group that at any point someone can become a part of. And so just as a rallying force about why this is so important, is nice to put a little personal spin on it. And yes, Julia, thank you so much for the music. As a former band teacher, I'm like, yeah, here we go. Mary really wishes that they could be here. And we just thank you so much. Ms. Crenshaw is a personal hero of mine. And so it is a great honor to receive this award named after her. Thank you all.
Thank you all so much. I will have to give credit to Nejma and Courtney for the music, because y'all was not gonna get that from me. That was definitely them. But I thank you all. I've learned so much from Dream and just interacting. So definitely congratulations and well deserved. So for our last award of today, we are going to have Becky Davis, who is going to present the Shirley Chisholm Community Award. So Becky, you have the floor.
Thank you all so much. It is my great pleasure to introduce the Be More for Healthy Babies and Early Childhood team at Promise Heights and Swakos for the Shirley Chisholm Award. Over the past 10 years, Be More for Healthy Babies at Promise Heights has worked in partnership with expectant and parenting families and community-based partners to improve the health of families who reside in West Baltimore by reducing the infant mortality rate. So the infant mortality rate is one of our very important indicators of health and well-being in a community. This past summer, the program and the team was recognized by Mayor Brandon Scott for successfully reducing the infant mortality rate by 75% and eliminating the disparity between Black and white infant deaths. This accomplishment was achieved in deep partnership with many partners and residents, partners including faith-based groups, business owners like our barbershops, public schools, housing complexes, and rec centers. During the pandemic over the last 2 years, in addition to the care that they provided to pregnant and parenting families, they've expanded further to address shifting needs of families to include more support around mental and emotional health, food insecurity, and social connectedness. Two of the efforts I wanted to mention was really around the food security work they did, creating the Freedom Food Program, where every third and fourth Friday, they redirected grant funds to pay Black-owned food vendors to provide meals to go for residents. We know how much local food businesses suffered during the pandemic, and especially community-based businesses owned by people of color. Another quick highlight to mention is the work done to train 4 community members to become lactation consultants and 3 community members to become doulas. I think that work really speaks to the team's true value and belief that solutions around healthcare and wellness can be found right within the communities we serve by the people who actually live in those communities. The last thing I'll share is that when Dr. Shai and I first started working with Be More for Healthy Babies and the early childhood team, we had the opportunity to meet with each member of the team individually and learn about their challenges and their dreams for the work they're doing in Promise Heights. Each one of them had tremendous passion for the families they work with, and we're really proud to share with us their personal history and connection to the Upton Druid Heights community. I remember one of the staff shared with us that they think about their work as their ministry, their responsibility to their own neighbors. It wasn't just a job or a paycheck. I found that really, really powerful. I also remember one of the staff sharing with us how disconnected they felt from UMB and how they felt more part of the community that they work in than the actual campus, even though that person had been working here with us for 10 years. So I really hope that we can continue working to change how people feel at the School of Social Work and at UMB, and to do more to recognize and celebrate the incredible knowledge and lessons that a team like Be More for Healthy Babies and the early childhood team have for us about justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Congratulations to BHB and the early childhood team for continuing to model how we can approach community change in a way that prioritizes mutual reciprocity and shared power. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Becky, for those lovely, amazing words. And congratulations to Be More for Healthy Babies and the Early Childhood team. You all are next up to accept. So everyone snap and clap. And you all can come and accept your award.
All right. Thank you so much, Becky. And thank you to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office for this award and acknowledgement of our collective work. Thank you, Nejma. You are a phenomenal woman and an amazing leader. Thank you to Dean Postmas for your fierce commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, not only at the School of Social Work, but in the profession of social work. So thank you. It is an honor for Be More for Healthy Babies and the early learning team at Promise Heights SWACOS to be the recipient of the Shirley Chisholm Community Award. I want to first start off by thanking our team, Shasha Satchel, Celestine Tolliver, Giselle Joseph, Angelique Shelby, Meldon Dickens, Blair Davis, Claire Donofrio, Linda Callahan, Nakia Taylor, and Rosalind Jones. Your hard work, dedication, and commitment to our families every day is like none other. And you guys know how much I deeply appreciate you and love you. Thank you to our initial leadership team, including retired Executive Director and founder of Promise Heights, Bronwyn Maiden, retired Medical Director and former PI, Dr. Renee Fox, and Dr. Wendy Lane, who is still one of our principal investigators from the School of Medicine, who secured the initial grant funding for Be More for Healthy Babies many years ago. To our phenomenal current leadership team, Dr. Wendy Shaya and Rebecca Davis, and the SWACOS family, thank you for graciously embracing us as a part of the SWACOS family. Your support and guidance in this work is deeply appreciated. And thank you to our student interns over the years from the School of Social Work, Nursing, and the School of Medicine. You have made such significant contributions to advancing equity in our work. This has been an amazing 11-year journey of working together with families, community-based partners, and funders to attain significant accomplishments, including increasing the breastfeeding rates on par with Baltimore City rates, continuing to reduce by 75% the reduction of the infant mortality rates, and not just the elimination, but the sustained elimination of the racial disparities between Black and white infant deaths in the communities of Upton and Druid Heights. Thank you all for supporting us along the way. In preparation to receive this award, I had an opportunity to reflect on the amazing Shirley Chisholm's work, and specifically her speech that she made during her announcement as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for presidency of the US in 1972. Her words spoken then still ring true today. At that point, she raised that she wanted to create a new America where there was freedom from violence and war at home and abroad, where there was freedom from poverty and discrimination, where there existed at least a feeling that we were making progress and assuring for everyone medical care, employment, and decent housing, where we were more decisively keeping our communities clean, our water clean, and our air clean, and where we work together to rebuild neighborhoods and to make our cities quiet, attractive, efficient, and fundamentally where we could live in confidence that every person has at least an opportunity to become all that they are desiring to be. Again, her words still ring true today. It is our intention to continue to show up in this work, cloaked in humility and in deep partnership, in the spirit of Shirley Chisholm, embracing her vision as we collectively pursue equitable educational opportunities, optimal health and well-being for families, and the elimination of the social determinants of health. Thank you again.
Thank you all so much. Another snap and clap for all of our winners today. As I mentioned, this was, of course, the award winners. However, we do have some honorable mentions that we wanted to give some space and time to. These are folks who maybe not won the award, but who are out here doing amazing, amazing work at the School of Social Work in Baltimore City and beyond. And we can only hope that as we continue to learn and grow as a university, that we are able to, of course, continue doing this work and supporting those who are out here talking to folks, who are out here knocking on doors, who are out here changing minds. And that is just really, really important work for justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So this actually concludes our ceremony for today. But before we leave, I did want to share some words in our closing. All of this would not have been possible had it not been for the work of our J.E.D.I Award Committee members. So Aaron, Gail, Nejma, Courtney, and Nia, thank you all for the meetings and debating about how we should do the awards and who should win and like helping with the surveys and all that stuff would not have been possible without your hard work. I want to make sure we take some time to thank the DEIC for all of their work and for allowing us to use this space today to have this presentation. I want to thank you all for your dedication and all the hard work that you do. I also want to thank our presenters, Kyle, Jenny, Gregory, Byrne, Oren, and Dawn and Becky. Thank you for presenting the awards to our winners today. I want to thank Kostas, who is one of our students who helped design the flyer. I want to give a shout out to Courtney, who is our intern, who actually made this beautiful, beautiful presentation. And I want to also thank all of those who voted and for those who attended today. It is not always easy to be doing the work of social work or doing the work of justice, equity, and inclusion and diversity. However, it is necessary work. And I want to make sure I leave you all with some words. So in her book, Pleasure Activism, Adrienne Marie Brown, she connects the politics of healing and happiness to the work of changing the world. And so a lot of the time when we think about like our leaders, even those who braved the path for us, those who the awards are named after, we can think of all of the hard work, the blood, the sweat and tears that goes into making this world and this country a more justice, a more diverse and equitable and inclusive space for all. But there is something else that kind of gets left out of that story. So Adrienne Marie Brown said, we need to learn how to practice love such that care for ourselves and others is understood as political resistance and cultivating resilience. That is the work our winners have done at our school and in our communities. It is nothing short of what Adrienne Marie Brown is talking about. They are showing that the work of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion is more than just doing the right thing at the right time. It is doing an act of service, but it's also an act of love and joy for each other. So love and joy is our families, it's our communities, it's our country, and it's love for ourselves. And so making sure that as we leave today, I'm taking the words of some other folks who are our award winners today. I want you all to think about how we all can use love and joy as our grounding and as our motivator, how we can be a lot more deliberate, like Edgar brought up, how we can be a little bit more uncomfortable, how we can be more of ourselves in creating the world that we want for everyone, so they are safe and happy and blessed. So thank you all for the amazing work that you do. Thank you all for coming to the J.E.D.I Awards and using the backgrounds. And thank you all for all of your hard work at the School of Social Work and our community. And we look forward to having this again next year, hopefully in person. So claps for everybody and thank you so much.
So I want to jump in and thank Julia. You didn't thank yourself, but I want to thank Julia for being the MC today, for making sure everything ran smoothly, and just for being an overall awesome, awesome person to work with. I mean, like, I can't even, if I start talking about it now, I'll start tearing up. So I'm just not going to. But one of the things just to, I think, and I can speak for myself too, sometimes we get so caught up in what's not going right and everything that's going wrong that we forget to celebrate the amazing work that people are doing, the groundbreaking, innovative work that people are doing here at the school. And so I'm just so humbled and appreciative of everything that we saw today, and just to remind ourselves and each other that in spite of all the issues that we see popping up in the school and outside of, there's a lot of good work that's happening. People are working really, really hard to advance justice and equity. And so just to take a few moments just to be grateful for all of those things as we continue to fight the fight. At this moment, I'm going to pass it to the co-chairs of DEIC to get to some DEIC business and wrap up and take us home. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Nesma. Thank you so much, Julia, for the wonderful ceremony. That was absolutely wonderful and inspiring. We want to send a big thank you to the Office of DEI and the J.E.D.I Committee, Awards Committee. Well, that did such a wonderful job, and it's just, I'm sorry, it's really touching to me. Now to go on to our last little bit for the day, we want to talk to pass it over to Maggie Lewis and Dean Schaefer, who are joining us from Student Affairs with an update on the efforts on the Student Code of Conduct.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Maggie Lewis. I use she, they pronouns, and I am in my second semester at the School of Social Work. I apologize. There's a lot of construction happening. So if there's background noise, I appreciate your patience. But I've been spending the year interning in the Office of Student Affairs within the School of Social Work and working alongside Dean Schaefer and another student, Anna Duke. And we have all been grappling with how we want to approach setting expectations within the School of Social Work. Entering at the beginning of the year, Dean Schaefer and I were having a lot of conversations about how the Office of Student Affairs kept seeing students come to them with issues that we thought were already clear. We thought that the students should already know, and we were trying to pinpoint kind of where this miscommunication was happening. And so we did a lot of research on looking at more restorative codes of conduct and different documents that other universities are using to set clear expectations for their students and also build more cohesion among their university community. And we decided that instead of a code of conduct, what would be most practical is a set of community agreements. And it looks like Samantha has shared the document in here. But we are basically in early drafting phases of coming up with sort of what we see as like a social contract for the School of Social Work that puts a heavy focus on shared values and how we see university culture. We're trying to avoid focusing on compliance and punishment and some of the language that is more punitive, and focusing more on sort of aspirational visions of what we see our community looking like and how we see our community interacting with one another. And so what we are looking for from DEIC is general feedback and input as we continue through this drafting phase. We are bringing the document to a bunch of different groups within the university to hear what folks have to say and to get some more insight on what this document could look like with the hopes of starting some implementation next year. So within the document, we kind of have steps for what we think it is, what we want it to do, how we expect students to meet these expectations, and then sort of a more in-depth outline of like what community agreements are and how we can use them as an accountability tool, both in and outside of the classroom. And so we found that in a lot of situations, it's difficult to set a one-size-fits-all expectation. And so in place of that, we're moving towards asking folks to build their own community agreements amongst their spaces for expectations that would fit specifically for that group of people, and use that as a tool to hold each other and themselves really accountable to the behaviors and values and choices that they're making in that space. Dean Schaefer or Anna, do you have any other thoughts before I send out the WUFU form?
Go to Anna first, and then I might just jump in. But Anna, anything additional that you wanted to share?
I thought Maggie did a great job.
You did a great job, both of you have. So no, I think Maggie's done a really nice job of articulating what it is that we are hoping to get out of this. It became a very overwhelming project very quickly, is one of the things that I wanted to sort of say to everyone. So what Anna and Maggie did was sort of pull a bunch of different things together, and then we sort of culled it down to say, what do we think is reasonable for this specific piece? And that's why we moved away from having a code of conduct versus a set of community agreements right now. And so just to speak to the part that Maggie started off with, you know, this originated with us thinking about, like, we have these expectations, but they're often unsaid, right? And so part of the conversations were like, why don't folks know this? Or even worse, right? Like, why don't they should know this? And I find anytime I'm saying they, and anytime I'm saying should, I need to really be thinking about, like, what has been communicated and what, you know, have we been clear on what it is that we're expecting from ourselves and from one another? And so that's where this is originating. We envision that this will be like a living document, and we're working also with Nejma and Julia's office. They have, Courtney is also going to be putting eyes on this as well. Courtney from DEI, as well as some other interns that are working at the UMB level. But our hope, because Maggie and Anna are finishing up in about a month from now, which is amazing how fast time goes. So if you could give a little bit of attention to this, we're going to send out, or Maggie and Anna are sending out a WUFU form. They're going to gather information and then move on to having some conversations with other stakeholders, meeting with the SGA elected board and Dean Taylor, meeting with ODEI. I think we're also in conversations with Joan about, you know, how this may come to MPC to get some input as well. So that's really where we are. So it's just an ask on, like, what are your original or sort of initial thoughts? And then where can we do better? Do you think that this is getting at what it is that we're saying? So thank you. Any questions, original, like, just sort of off the top of your heads? I know we don't have much time. All right, cool. Thank you for hearing us. We'll look forward to seeing your feedback.
This is wonderful work. Thank you so much to Anna and Maggie and to Dean Schaefer for bringing this to the DEIC and offering the opportunity to weigh in, and for leading this work. We will make sure we send out that WUFU link. So if anyone, we hope that everyone will have the opportunity to just take a few minutes, look at it more intentionally, and share any feedback. And with that, we're so grateful to have had the opportunity to celebrate, and congratulations again to all of the just phenomenal awardees. There's been so much wisdom shared in this space today. And thank you so much to ODEI for really, to Nejma and Julia for always being so intentional about elevating this work and elevating the amazing things that are happening in our community. And certainly just as much is happening in your office and your space and the School of Social Work because of you. So thank you so much for that and for bringing that to the DEIC and to the school. Before we wrap up today, we did want to open up space for any announcements, any updates from anyone in the community. Anything to share?
Samantha, I just wanted to share and remind again about the AAPI panel coming up on April 1st from 12:15 to 1:45. You should have received, it's in the School of Social Work bulletin, but you also may have received it through separate channels, but we're hoping to see everyone there. So just wanted to give a pitch for that.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. Dean Taylor and then Dean Schaefer.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and congratulations again. This was lovely. Just want to share that SGA has gone to, I think has emailed a number of faculty asking if you would permit them space to talk about SGA and to talk about recruitment. It is that time of year again where we are already gearing up for next semester, next fall. And the way we make SGA work is if we have all of our students involved. So I'm just reminding you, if they email you, sometimes that's through myself, sometimes it's through Dean Schaefer, but please allow them to come and share the wonderful activities that SGA is allowing. And also just to share, Convocation is coming up, and we all know that Convocation has lots of awards too. So we have that information that's out on the daily bulletin. So just read your emails, read the daily bulletin, and if there's any questions that you have about SGA, our president, Abby Peck, as well as there were several students who are on the SGA committees here today, or myself. So thank you.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time, and to be honest, I have not yet consulted with the accessibility subcommittee, so I wasn't sure if y'all wanted an update on where we were with the AHEAD external evaluation. So is Lindsay and Ashley, I see Ashley.
Yeah, that would be great, John. Go ahead, thank you.
So we are, a number of things have happened. Where we are with the external evaluation is that Samantha, Gail, Deborah Levy from ESDS and I have met with AHEAD directly, have figured out that the internal audit wasn't really going to get at what we were hoping that it would. And so we're hoping to move forward with the external audit, or rather not audit, evaluation. We had a conversation with the counseling center director at University of Maryland. I guess just that, University of Maryland, and they had done the evaluation last year and really sang the praises of it. So we right now are in conversation with trying to figure out how to get our funding together. And if that all moves forward, then we will hope to be able to begin the process this summer, but engage in the work over the fall once students are back and once 10-month faculty are back. So just wanted to provide a quick update about that. Samantha, is there anything from that process you wanted that I forgot to share?
Thank you so much, Dean Schaefer. No, that is so great. And we're really excited just also to name, like, Dean Schaefer has for the past at least 5 years been leading this effort to, better meet the accessibility needs at the school of all members of our community, and also just to get this evaluation going. So it's really exciting that this is happening. And thank you for all of your efforts on that and on making that happen.
I just wanted to add, because we've been sort of discussing about how to still include the voices of students who are about to graduate. So if people have ideas for that, like, we'd love to hear them. We've been, sort of lobbying around some, thoughts and ideas, but if anybody else, has thoughts about how that might happen, that'd be great.
Part of the process, and we'll be able to bring this back once it all starts to come together a little bit more solidly, but we're able to set the sort of the structure of how the evaluator will come out. And so we'll be able to have them meet with individual folks. So even if we have even when we have the current students, we'll still be able to have, like, the past dream leadership, for example, will be able to come in and participate. So we anticipate, similarly, if anyone was here through the evaluation that we had maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think the structure will be similar in that we'll be able to say, here are main stakeholder groups, and then the evaluator will meet individually with those, or as a group with those folks. So yes, we definitely want to make sure that we get all of Dream and folks that have been through the program, as well as folks that are just starting to come in now. And I also just wanted to say a huge thanks, because this has been not just within my office, but it's been Najma and Julia's office has been participating, but Gail from the library, HR is going to be involved, ESDS at the campus level. So it's really been a lot of folks that are interested in making sure that we become a more inclusive and accessible school.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Any other updates, announcements, subcommittee updates? I know we didn't have dedicated subcommittee time today. Nia, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know that it looks like Madison jumped off, and I know that there was some potentially good news. I didn't know if you wanted to share. So I know that the Policy and Advocacy Subcommittee that is led by Madison and Nia has been working on the Maryland Correctional Enterprises contract and the requirement of the university that that the university, I guess the whole Maryland system is required to order furniture, which benefits for that company, which benefits from exploiting prison labor. And Madison and her office, and supported by the subcommittee, has gotten approval from UMB to give testimony on legislation, to support legislation that would end the requirement that the university and the Maryland system work with Maryland Correctional Enterprises, which I think we all agree we don't want to have to do and shouldn't have to do. So that was really fantastic news. And kudos to everyone on the subcommittee and all of the student leadership as well, who have been really, really, elevating this issue. Any other announcements? Corey, I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I'll just plug the Thursday lecture again. We're not fully live with our invitation, but we will be holding, so the save the date will come, be on the lookout, May 10th. That's a Tuesday from 5 to 6:30. And the topic is going to be community perspectives on and responses to gun violence. It is going to be facilitated by Kyla Liggett-Creel and Caroline Hermandero, and we will have speakers from 3 community groups. We Are Us, Sons of Phoenix, and Ceasefire Baltimore. So please do come, please be on the lookout. We're excited and hope to see all of you there.
Amazing. Any other updates or announcements? All right. If you are, I'll put it in the chat, if you are newly kind of joining today for the J.E.D.I Awards and are interested in being part of the DEIC is a fully open committee. All are welcome. Alumni, community members, students, staff, faculty. We all meet monthly during the academic year to collaborate together, to advocate together, and to share communication and engage together in this work around justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. So if you're interested in being part of the DEIC and aren't already connected, please don't hesitate to let Steph and I know. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of the DEIC this whole year, of the J.E.D.I Awards today. Congratulations again to all of the awardees, and wishing everyone a wonderful spring break. Have a great afternoon, all.